Have you? Rich, are you out there?
Rich was here.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I joined and there was nobody talking and I was like, what's up?
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we hear you, Rich.
I'm not getting any text messages. Ashlie, can you hear me okay?
You're coming in and out.
No, don't.
You sound a little frozen.
Hey, Rich, can you hear us?
I think folks, they heard me and Maria.
Okay.
All right, how about that? Is that better?
Yes.
I was trying to use the Wi-Fi here, but it must be too slow. So I apologize. All right. Well, we're going to get started. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I apologize. I am actually in Weiser, Idaho right now. I would normally be in front of my computer, but we leave for the Bahamas on Tuesday, and so there's nobody in this town that I could access their Wi-Fi. So I apologize for that. Ashlie, can you hear me okay? Because you're going to be speaking here in a minute.
I can, yes.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so tonight I have the privilege, Maria Williams reached out to me and asked me if I could host this call along with an amazing athlete. Her name is Ashlie. I'm going to introduce her here in a second. But tonight I just wanted to express my gratitude for being able to host this call. Tonight we're going to talk about a really important subject, and it's a subject we probably have heard many times about databasing. And databasing is a crucial part of our business, and I wrote some notes and stuff. And one of the things, I mean, I just celebrated my 4th year in this business, and I'm going to ask you guys a question. Whether you've been in it 4 days or 4 years or 8 years, it doesn't really matter. How many of us have put a lot of energy into people which we wish we could take back? Or we signed up somebody. I remember I had a gentleman sign up. I worked so hard on him, followed up with him. Finally, he signed up, and he never opened his platinum pack. In 6 months, he never opened his box. And so I started asking myself this question when we're going to talk about databasing. Do we want everybody in our business is what I was asking myself. And so I wanted to kind of reiterate some things that I've heard over the years. When you're building your database, one of the things that really helps me crystallize my thinking is, who do I want to do this business with? I mean, we all want to rank advance. We all have our goals and dreams that we want to accomplish. And to be quite honest, I don't think it really ever happens as fast as we want. But the thing that you want to be careful with is who are you building this business with? I heard somebody say there's 3 kinds of people in the world. There's your 3-minute friends, the people that you can hang out with for about 3 minutes. You know those people. You see them in the grocery store, and you're like, hey, how's it been? How you doing? In about 3 minutes, you're pretty much done with that conversation. Then you have those 3-hour friends where maybe you guys can go bowling together, go grab a pizza, or go grab a bite to eat. And after about 3 hours, that's about it. You're done with that. And then you have those 3-day weekend friends, which I'm blessed to be able to go spend with a bunch of people in the Bahamas. Those are the people I want to be around. And so when we talk about databasing tonight, I really want you to think about who you want to do this business with. Who do you want to spend time with? Because you're going to be investing a lot of energy into building your business. So when you sit down and you begin to build your database, you want to purge your mind completely of all the names that are in your head. Whether they'll do your business or not is not important. You just want to get them out on paper. Now, I heard a Master Pro 10 use this example before, and if you haven't heard it before, it'll be pretty powerful for you. Imagine that you were hired to sell a brand new concept car. All right. Nobody's ever really seen it before. And they need to sell this concept car. It's a $100,000 vehicle. It's sitting in the showroom, and they've hired you to sell this vehicle. Now, the bad thing is, if you don't sell this car, you're going to lose your job. But if you do sell it, then you'll be promoted. And so one of the great things is they did all the advertising for you. So imagine this, you guys. You show up to the showroom that morning, and there's that beautiful car sitting out there, and you look around. There's nobody around except for one man. He's standing there. He's looking at the vehicle, kicking the tires, looking it over. And you come up to him, you start talking to him about the vehicle. He's interested. But after investing some time speaking with the man, he says, you know what? I don't want to give you $100,000. I only want to give you $75,000. Now, how much pressure would you feel looking outside? You don't see anybody else around. It's just you and that guy, and knowing your job's on the line. How difficult would it be for you to deal with that emotion? It would be really hard. Now imagine that same situation, and when you look out the window, when the guy says, I'll only give you $75,000, you notice that there's 400 people standing in line ready to look at that vehicle. Yours would be completely different mindset. You would be, all right, next, let's move on, next. And so one of the things that you want when you build your database is you want to purge your mind of everybody that you can think of and get them out on paper. And then begin to ask yourself questions like, why did I think of this person? And there's a couple types of people on your list. There's the people that you know very well, people that you don't know very well. And then what I like to refer is your chicken list. Now, the biggest thing that'll get you motivated to talk to your chicken list, those are the people, by the way, that you're like, I don't know if I should talk to them, but if they did see this, oh my gosh, how much awesomer would my business grow if I could get them to join my business. The one thing that I really think helps you motivates me when I'm doing databasing is imagine someone else signing them up. You go to a meeting and there they are. They're standing there and they're like, hey, you never talked to me about it. That may motivate you a little bit to get to your chicken list. Now, the thing I want to tell you guys is that building your database is building relationships. I think that's the biggest thing that I personally learned over the last few years. I kind of have that A personality. Like I see somebody and they don't see it, and I'm like, what's their problem? It's nutrigenomics. It's Nerf 2. It's going to revolutionize the world. Why don't you see this? Well, what I come to realize is that people don't necessarily do anything unless it's in their best interest. And so the question I would ask you is, what do you know about your prospect? What do you know about the person? So one of the things I would encourage you to remember is that relationships are like building a house. They're brick by brick by brick, slowly but surely. And one of the things that blows my mind when people like Rachel Jackson or elite people that hit the ranks of elite really quickly, you wonder, well, how did they get so lucky to be able to build their business so quickly? They built relationships long before they needed them. What do I mean by that? Building relationships before you needed them. They were intentional about every day going out of their way to make friendships. Not because they wanted anything necessarily from them, but they were intentional about it. There's a great book that I'm going to encourage you guys to pick up. It's called Never Eat Alone. Never Eat Alone. And I first learned about this book from a really great website called readitfor.me. I'll say that again. I mean, there's so many great books that can build your mindset, but we don't have a lot. I don't know about you, but I don't have a lot of time to read all of these books. So this website, readitfor.me, is kind of like the cliff notes of the book. What were the hot premise of everything? And they boil it down, and it's a really, really great read, and it'll give you the cliff notes. But Never Eat Alone kind of helps you to crystallize your thinking when you're building your database. How can I be intentional about going out there and building the relationships? You know, all you ladies on this call, when you were single, if some guy came up to you, even if he was attractive, and said, hey, you're good looking, I'm good looking, let's get married tomorrow. That's probably not the best way to approach and build relationships. But we know that intuitively, but how many of you have gone to somebody that you hardly even know and you're like, let me just tell you all about this business, and you didn't even take the time to understand what do they want out of life? You know, what are they trying to accomplish? And so I would encourage you to do your research, do your homework on these people, find out what motivates them. And today, you know, with Facebook and stuff like that, it's real easy to go through that database on Facebook, you know, and begin to understand who this person is, what's their goals, what's their aspirations, and be able to reach out to them and get to understand them. The encouragement I would give you is continually to keep building your database. If you let that database run low and you're not where you want to be, you're going to start acting out of desperation. You're like, I just need to talk to somebody. I just need somebody in my business. It's a constant thing. You're planting seeds all the time and nurturing those relationships. And if you do that, you'll be able to have more success. It's like one Master Pro 10 said, you know, cultivate proper behaviors. You know, be married to the process, divorced to the outcome. If you do that, you'll put yourself in a mindset that you know that you're planting many seeds and not all of them germinate at the same time. We call it, they're not at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock just basically means they're ready to hear you, ready to listen. So databasing is crucial, because if you don't have anybody to speak to, it doesn't matter how great this opportunity is, does it? Because you have no one to share it with. Now, someone would say, you know, people are like, you know, oxygen, they're everywhere. And that is true, but nobody likes to be sold to, but everybody likes to buy things. So if I gave you $100 bill and said, go buy something, you would enjoy that. But if somebody was trying to sell you something, you wouldn't enjoy that so much either. So remember that. Be married to the process, divorced to the outcome. I'll say this last thing before I bring on Ashlie. In the last 15 years or so, I've ran fitness clubs. And there's a lot of people that would have loved to sign me up because my average gym had 9,000 members in it. And they quickly wanted to recruit me. And I felt like I had a bullseye on my back. And I know a lot of chiropractors and people like that feel like that because everybody wants to pitch them. But the one thing, anytime a salesperson walked into my gym, I would let them talk for like 5 minutes, and I would just raise my hand and I'd say, can I just ask you one question? And they'd say, sure. And I say, what do you even know about me? And they would just kind of look back and, well, I guess nothing. So if there's one thing I can encourage you guys, as you build your database and you begin to share and talk to people, if you're worried about what you're going to say to your database, it's a sure indication that you're thinking too much about what you have to say and not enough about what that person wants. And so I'd like to bring in Ashlie, because I'm sure as an athlete, she has had many people come up to her and talk to her and try to get her to recruit her. And I'm stalling because I'm bringing up her sheet. But I had the privilege of talking to Ashlie a little bit earlier, a couple of days ago, talking about her. And she is an amazing person. I mean, this woman is she's a Pro 5 out of Durango, Colorado. She's a physical therapist. I mean, she has a nutritional degree in science and studied chemical engineering. And she's a professional athlete. And she's got several championships underneath her, including cross country and track. And she's really an athlete. And so one of the things that we talked about is, we all know that, I love what Bill Bowerman says from Nike. He says, if you have a body, you're an athlete. But we all know that we would love to have somebody like Ashlie's, you know, on these products. And so Ashlie's going to talk a little bit about her experience with the products and maybe a little bit about whether to talk to athletes or not. So Ashlie, are you there?
I am, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I'll let you take it away. You're a fireball. Rock on.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Rich, for that introduction. And I'm honored to be a guest on here tonight. And yes, I do want to talk a bit about how to approach athletes. And just as Rich said, with my background specifically in running a physical therapy practice, as well as being an athlete, I've been approached by hundreds of people over the years in regards to their products. And just like him, I had kind of a standoff approach because so many people had approached me. But I do want to talk about how to approach an athlete. And, you know, people do come to me and say, how do I talk to that pro athlete? Well, Rich and I discussed this, I think it might've been just a couple days ago. And this is a tough group. I'm just going to be straight up here, because so many of them really do get everything for free. I mean, I have friends who everywhere they go, everything is comped. And, you know, I treated a lot of pro athletes as well with my physical therapy practice, and they wanted all of my services for free. And so I do have some other professional athletes on these products, but many of them wanted it for free, and I don't give it out for free. So there's too much value to it. The other type of athlete that people often ask me about is college athletes. And I was a Division I cross country and track athlete myself. And I will tell you, NCAA athletes is another group that's very tough. And I have gone round and round with maddening conversations with the NCAA, and they will not give me a straight answer as to whether or not their athletes can legally take this. And they have a big list of banned substances that they can't take, and they won't tell me whether or not they can take it. And I will tell you, despite knowing everything that I do about these products, if I was back in college, I would not take them because I could lose my scholarship or I could lose my livelihood of competing as an athlete. The NAIA and other governing bodies are different. They have much more loose regulations, but the NCAA is very tough regulations. So just because we have BSCG on banned substance control group certified on our bottle does not mean that it's safe for all athletes. This is really important. So if you're saying that, it's not correct because each sport has their own governing body. So for me, governed by the USA Cycling, it's safe for me. A lot of Olympic athletes, it's safe, but it's not globally across the board safe for all athletes. So who should you target? I would say the number one thing is those high-level amateur or recreational athletes. And when you think about this group, a lot of them are in their 30s, but particularly 40s and 50s, and they have a disposable income. And the thing about this group is they really spend loads of money on everything that will give them a 1% to 3% advantage. That's what they're looking for. And they spend loads of money on supplements. So this is a really good group to target. But just as Rich was talking about database, athletes are no different than anyone else. When you're talking to them, you want to understand their pain, their needs, talk to them and hear their story and focus on them. With that being said, I can give you a few things to kind of better understand them and what some of their needs might be. And the number one thing really is recovery, recovery, recovery. That's what they're looking for. If you can recover faster, you can train harder, and you can theoretically race faster or compete better in whatever sport you're doing. So it's truly all about recovery. As athletes, we really push ourselves hard, and the difference between winning a national championship or not, or winning a marathon or not, is quite honestly whether you can push to that fine line and not cross over it and get hurt or end up down that big dark hole of something like adrenal fatigue. So it's really, you want to push so hard so that you can maximize your body and maximize your potential, but not cross that line. And truly, that's what it is. And so recovery is key for everything. And the thing is, as you age, typically you just don't recover as fast. And so that is truly one thing that the aging athlete, and I'm talking about 30s, 40s, 50s, is looking for. And I'll just put it out there. I'm 42 and I've been at this for a long time. So I definitely noticed that I was not recovering as fast until I found these products. And I'll talk a bit about that. But some of the things that athletes are dealing with is every day as you go out there, you're getting micro tears of your muscles. You are getting tons of inflammation into your body. We actually have more oxidative stress than most people, because we're consuming more calories in general. We're eating more food. We're also consuming more oxygen. And so we really have more oxidative stress than a lot of other people in general. We also tend to have suppressed immune systems because we're just breaking down that body all the time. So the things that I would really target is activating the NRF2 pathway, activating the NRF1 pathway, Axio, and a probiotic. And for athletes like myself, who's always outside, that True Science skin line in particular as well. So, you know, some things about that NRF2 that are really key for an athlete is the increase in glutathione by 300%. I mean, glutathione is something that more and more athletes are learning about. And just to name a few things that it does is it quickens your recovery time. It reduces lactic acid. It lessens muscle fatigue and exhaustion. It increases stamina and endurance. It maintains muscle growth. So these are all things that are really important to athletes. The other thing about NRF2 is just, again, decreasing that oxidative stress by 40%, which is critical because we tend to have more than the average person, as well as all those amazing patents on the fact that it reduces inflammation, which is key. As far as that, you know, another thing with aging athletes are they tend to have chronic nagging injuries that they've had for a while. And so if you can decrease that inflammation, that's critical. NRF1, I mean, it increases mitochondria. This is our powerhouse of our cells. So talk about recovery. When you can increase that mitochondria, that's key. In fact, I was at a race yesterday and post-race talking to some friends who were athletes and talking about how they were hearing about mitochondria and what it does for you. And you know, I just briefly talked to them and they were all sold right there based on mitochondria alone. So Axio, this enhances focus and clarity, increases energy. This is key when you're competing. It's not great to use during a competition because there's no electrolytes, but I use one every single race before the race for sure. And then the probiotic, as athletes, we are so hard on our GI system. Again, we're consuming more foods. We have so much inflammation. We're processing more. Our bodies are kind of like trash cans. And so getting that probiotic in us to keep us healthy is critical. So just a little bit about my story and how these activating these pathways has helped me. Like I said, I'm 42. I've been a triathlete and mountain biker for the past 20 years. And as I was aging, I was not recovering as fast. I had also broken my back. I'd been paralyzed. I'd had multiple wrist fractures and concussions, and I just hurt all the time. When I started activating that NRF2 pathway, the first thing I noticed was increase in my recovery. That happened in about 2 weeks, but about 10 months in is when a lot of those old nagging injuries stopped hurting me. I used to just hurt all the time. So to increase that recovery was huge. To be honest, when I heard NRF1 was coming out, I thought, this has got to be illegal. This is crazy. I mean, increase my mitochondria, seriously? But for me, it's totally legal. It's BSCG certified and USA Cycling approves that. So I felt exactly what I expected, a massive increase in my recovery, which was huge at 42. At 42, I'm racing better than I ever have, which shouldn't happen for someone who's been at it for so many years. The other thing was, again, when I had that Axio, I just feel a tremendous increase in my focus, my clarity, and my competitions are usually about 3 hours. So this is really critical, as well as that boost in energy. And, you know, just over the years traveling and racing, I did have a lot of GI issues, and this probiotic has been key in helping with a lot of those issues. Another thing to bring up with athletes too, and I do this, I did it today, I just raced yesterday. I definitely take 2 NRF2 after competitions, especially if I'm hopping on a plane and traveling and I'm going to be around a lot of humanity when my immune system is suppressed. So, you know, as Rich said, and I concur, we're just like everyone else. So you really want to target their pain, listen to them, see what they're looking for. But these are a few things that, you know, I know from experience, a lot of athletes are looking for. So hopefully that gives you some ideas.
Good job. That's awesome. Totally good stuff. I just want to close by saying this. I love what you said, Ashlie. It doesn't matter if you're an Olympic athlete, you're a weekend warrior. People are people. They want to know what's in it for them. I love what you said about on our call. Sometimes we look at these professional athletes as, oh, if I could just get that one person, then my business would blow up. Well, Carrie Dickey, she was a waitress, and we all would have loved to sign up Carrie Dickey. And so remember that people are people. And also, think about when you talk about athletics, imagine a football team and every player is a linebacker. I mean, that team's probably not going to go anywhere because they don't have a diversified team. And so remember, meet people where they are. If they're a homemaker, if they're an athlete, if they're a doctor, people want to know one thing: what's in it for me? And I want to leave you with this thought. And this thought actually scares me to death and keeps me awake at night. And hopefully it'll do the same to you. And I mean that in a good way. Imagine if LifeVantage gave every single distributor the option to re-enroll, and they didn't have to choose you as their sponsor. The question is, would they choose you as a sponsor? Again, so that's the thought that keeps me awake at night. And the reason why I say that is when you're going out and prospecting and you're building your database and you're reaching out, whether it's to an athlete or to a homemaker, are you the leader they're looking for? I mean, would you follow yourself? And so as you're building this database, as you're reaching out to people, I want you to always remember to be the person that you would want to follow. And if you just do that, I promise you'll have no problem building that database, meeting people, and helping people get what they want to accomplish in life. So thank you, guys. I appreciate you letting us jump on this Zoom call. Thank you, Ashlie, for all the great value that you added. That was some amazing stuff. So I will be sharing this. There will be a replay recording posted on One Person Big Difference. So thank you, guys. Have an awesome day. And I will see some of you on the beaches of the Bahamas. Have a good night, everybody.